Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to Unacademy. This is India's largest learning platform. My name is Dr. Janvi. I'm the anesthesia educator on Unacademy, and today we are going to be doing some image and clinical case based scenarios from short subjects. Now, the reason I'm taking this class for you guys is recently I took a course in which in 1 week we completed revision of all the short subjects, that is skin, anesthesia, radiology, psychiatry and orthopedics for all the FMG students. Okay, so that's why I've kept this class just to see how much you all learned from that revision sessions that I took. So this is going to be a completely option and question based class. So let's see how many of you do well in this. Welcome to Unacademy. The Plus subscription will help you get access to live and recorded classes. You can learn from India's top educators. You can access our question bank with 25,000 plus questions. And we also have printed notes for those who buy the 1 year and plus subscription. The Iconic subscription gives you a chance to also learn from Prep Ladder along with Unacademy. And in our special classes, just like the one that I'm taking right now, you will be able to download the lecture notes at the end of the class. We have a question bank with 25,000 plus questions, which you can use. These are our NEET PG toppers. These are some of the batches that are going on right now. The clinical case discussions and instruments batch, target NEET PG 2022 batch, target next integrated 2023 batch. And if you would like to join any of these batches, you can use my code Dr. Janvi Live. This is my subscription code for Plus. Now next month I'm going to be taking a lot of classes on Plus. So make sure that you join the Plus platform at least for a month. And if you use my code, you get a 10% off on your subscription value. All right. So let's begin with our class for today. This is the first question today from psychiatry. So there is going to be a mix of questions from skin, anesthesia, radiology, psychiatry, and orthopedics. Okay, remember it's a complete mix of questions. So this is the first question, and I'm going to give you guys only for the first question a 45-minute timer, 45-second timer. After that, we'll go down to 30 seconds because since it's the first question, everyone is just joining in the class. So laryngoscope is not working well during intubation in the OT. So you blame your junior for not preparing the OT well. Identify the defense mechanism in this scenario. Rationalization, denial, projection, or sublimation. Only for the first question, 45 seconds. After this, we will reduce the poll timer. Just because everyone is joining in, I'm keeping the poll timer a little high now, but then we'll reduce the poll timer, okay? 30 seconds for each of those questions will be enough. Yes, everyone who is joining in, quickly mark the answer to this question. Swati, Priyali, everyone who's come in late, quickly mark the answers. Okay, so what do you guys think is the answer to this? 47% of you have marked it absolutely correctly. The psychiatry class, I will try to take it on Monday, okay? Coming Monday. So what is this over here? The laryngoscope is not working well. So you are not able to intubate. So if you are not able to intubate, you are blaming your incapacity on the junior. You're saying that the junior has not done the work well. Now, as a senior, you should have also checked the laryngoscope. Also, you should have skills to be able to intubate even if the laryngoscope is not working well. So it is not just the fault of the junior, but it is also your fault. You're pushing the fault onto others. Okay, so that is called as projection. Anyone, can you give me an example of rationalization? Shall I give you guys an example of the defense mechanism rationalization? Okay, so for example, you give the exam and you don't do very well in the exam. And you say, Arey, everyone in my family had COVID. It was my sister's wedding. I was getting disturbed by all these people. That's why I could not study well and I could not pass the exam. Okay, so that is an example of rationalization. What are you trying to do? You are trying to give an explanation for the fact that you did not do well in something. Okay, you're trying to rationalize it. Now, what is denial? I'll give you an example of denial. Yes, very good, Richa. So, denial, the best example is if there is a sudden death of a partner or a loved one, the wife will go into complete denial. Okay, she'll say, no, he's my husband is alive and he's absolutely fine, I'm waiting for him to come home. So that is denial. Okay, and what is sublimation? Anyone, what is sublimation? Again, sublimation, I can give you a very simple or case scenario about that. Suppose someone is dead. Okay, there is an accident and he dies in the trauma. So if the person who reaches the hospital will call the family of the dead person and he will say, your patient is not doing very well, he is on high dose vasopressor supports, when he's already dead. Okay, so you're not breaking the bad news immediately, you are slowly bringing them close to the fact that the person's life is in danger. Okay, so that is called as sublimation. All right, so these are all the defense mechanisms that are important that you should know of, and there are many case scenarios that they ask about defense mechanisms. Okay, I will also be asking you more about them. Okay, next question from favorite subject, anesthesia. So during anesthesia post ending viva, the consultant asks the students what inhalational agent is filled in this vaporizer. Sevoflurane, halothane, isoflurane, desflurane. I'm reducing the timer to 30 seconds and no one will answer in the chat box. Okay, no answering in the chat box and timer reduction to 30 seconds. And everyone who's come, we also have a free special class at 10 p.m. on respiratory system part 1. I'm going to be discussing everything about the respiratory system that is asked in the exam. All different types of your disorders, your TB, sarcoidosis, emphysema, ARDS, all of that will be discussed. Okay. All right. So 50% of you have answered this correctly because obviously you all don't know the colors of the vaporizers. So can anyone tell me what is the color of sevoflurane vaporizer? Sevoflurane vaporizer color, guys? Yellow. Okay. Halothane is red. So this is halothane. Isoflurane vaporizer color? Purple. Very good. And desflurane vaporizer color? Blue. Okay. Desflurane का कैसे याद रखते हैं? Desi color is blue. Okay, so Desi jersey, Desi cricket jersey ka color is blue. So that's how we remember the colors. So this is desflurane, this is isoflurane, and this is sevoflurane. Okay, please remember the colors of the vaporizers, not just the colors of the cylinders and the pipelines. Okay, now next question from skin. Which of these nail conditions are seen in lichen planus? A, B, C, D. No answering in the chat box, Dr. Janvi. Even if your name is the same as mine, I will not accept this, that you're answering in the chat box, okay? Okay, guys, do you like these kind of classes where we have multiple polls and images and case scenarios and all subjects mixed together? Okay, so we'll have more of these classes. Initially, last month, I wanted to help you guys revise your short subjects. Now that we have revised the short subjects, we'll be moving more towards the question-based classes. Okay, all right. So can anyone tell me what are these 4 nail conditions? What is A? What is A? A is Mees lines. Absolutely correct. I've discussed this in my dermat revision. Mees lines is nothing but white transverse lines that are present on the nails. And Mees lines are seen in which condition? Yes, very good. They are seen in arsenic poisoning. Okay. What is B? B is tinea unguium. Tinea unguium. Okay. And it is also called as onychomycosis. So this is a nail condition in which you have fungal infection of the nail leading to complete destruction of the nail. What is C? Wing-shaped nail bed. This is nothing but pterygium. Okay, and pterygium is seen in case of lichen planus. So this is our answer over here. And what is D? D is pitting edema. Absolutely correct. So this pitting edema is seen in which case? Any dermat disorder, can you tell me? In which case you see pitting edema? Yes, very good. You see psoriasis, in psoriasis. All right. Okay. So the answer for this question was C. All right. A 24-year-old patient is posted for Colles fracture repair. Okay. Colles fracture is this fracture. the fracture of distal end of the radius with dorsal displacement. Okay. The anesthetist wants to give a supraclavicular block. What instrument can she use out of the following? Let me just mark ABCD over here. You want to give a brachial plexus block and you need a nerve locator for it. So out of all these four, which one is a nerve locator? Okay, so I'm just sharing the leaderboard with you guys till now. Richa, Yash have got 4 out of 4 correct, and then we have Kartika with 3 out of 4 correct. Okay, all right. So the nerve locator out of this is A. Okay, I'll just zoom in and show you the picture. How will you identify the nerve locator? You see there are these two leads over here. One will be attached to a needle. Now the main thing that will tell you is looking at the current over here. Okay. So if the current is anything between zero point 0.5 to 5 milliampere, then this is your nerve locator. Okay. So this nerve locator will help you identify the brachial plexus, and once you identify the brachial plexus over here in the neck, you can block it. Okay. What is B over here? When you see these bars like this, these 4 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is giving you the train of 4 count, or you can also look at the current over here. You can see the current is 40 milliamperes, 12 milliamperes. So if you're seeing these 4 bars, which is nothing but train of 4, or if you're seeing a current anywhere between 10 to 40 milliamperes, then what is this? This is your nerve stimulator. And what is it used for? Your nerve stimulator? Nerve stimulator is used for checking if the action of the muscle relaxant is over or not. Action of neuromuscular blockade is over or not. Okay. All right. What is this in C? Have you ever seen this multiple leads to be attached? Any idea what this is? Okay. And okay, at least D all can identify for me. Yes, D is CT machine. Okay. So I hope all of you all have seen a CT machine. So you are able to identify it. Okay. C is actually one of the instruments which is used for pain relief. Okay. So this is nothing but a, I forgot the name of it. I'll remind you in the next question, but I completely forgot the name. This is something which you put on the back of the patient and you stimulate the individual nerves so that the patient, not acupuncture, but it is an electrical nerve stimulator. Okay. So yes, it is a TENS stimulator. Absolutely correct, Radiomania. This is TENS. Okay, transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulator. It is used for relieving chronic back pain in patients. Okay. All right. Now, what is this? Okay. Sulabh has a son who has a seizure disorder. The pediatrician starts him on anti-epileptics and also refers him to a nutritionist. What type of diet will help Sulabh in this case? Atkins diet, keto diet, General Motors diet, high protein diet. I hope most of you have not tried any of these diets because nowadays they are in a lot of fads. What is the latest diet fad nowadays? I see every other person in the hospital doing something called as intermittent fasting. Everyone wants to just drink black coffee in the morning and then directly have lunch. Yes, keto and intermittent fasting, all. Yes, absolutely correct. So only 29% of you have gotten this correct. That means none of you all are dieting people. Okay. So actually, this is the answer to this is keto diet. In keto diet, what do you have? You have high fat, you have high protein, and you have low carbohydrates. Okay. Now keto diet was originally made or it was found for people who have seizure disorder. And then later on, they saw that people who have seizure disorder are also losing weight with keto diet. So they started recommending it to everyone. Okay. So keto diet helps in seizure disorder and also in ADHD. Okay. All right. Next one. These signs are seen in which disease? Identify the disease. And tell me each and every sign also. What is sign 1, what is sign 2, and what is sign 3? Syphilis is not the correct answer. Yes, the correct and complete answer is congenital syphilis. Okay. So can you tell me what is sign 1, what is sign 2, and what is sign 3? And yes. So if you have notched upper incisors, so this is nothing but Hutchinson's teeth. Okay. What is there in number 2 over here? At the nose, you are seeing a saddle nose. And what are you seeing at the angle of the mouth? You are seeing a, what are you seeing at the angle of the mouth? There is a marking over here at the angle of the mouth, ulceration. Okay, so that is called as Rigards. Okay, and in 3, you're seeing the anterior bowing of the tibia, and that is called as your saber tibia. Okay, so all these are signs that are seen in congenital syphilis. All right. A child comes to the emergency room. Mother says she also had a similar rash when she was a child. Identify the disorder. I've asked this question in the dermat revision. I think most of you all might know the answer to this. Don't answer in the chat box. I'll just quickly start the poll. So child is having this rash and mother also had a similar rash. So there is a familial history of this rash. So what can it be? Atopic dermatitis, eczema, SLE, or photosensitivity? I've actually taken this question a couple of times before for you guys. There is a sign involved in this. If anyone knows the answer, what is the sign involved in this, then you can write it in the chat box. Okay, sharing the leaderboard with you guys. Richa on top with all answers correct. Then Yash 5 out of 6 and then Radio Mania 5 out of 6. Okay, what is this sign? Perioral pallor in the child. Perioral pallor in the child. And mother is saying that she had a similar history. So this is nothing but a history of atopy and the sign is called as headlight sign. Okay, headlight sign is nothing but perioral pallor. So this is atopic dermatitis with headlight sign. What is the name of the sign in which you have lateral half of the eyebrows ka thinning in case of atopic dermatitis? That also starts with H, the name of that sign. Yes, that is called as Hurtubise sign. Okay, Hurtubise sign. Absolutely correct. Okay. Moving on to our next question. What size LMA would you insert in a neonate? First, identify this LMA for me. If anyone can identify from the picture, I'll quickly zoom in and show you. Can you identify what type of LMA is this? Classic. This is not classic. It has 2 lumens. Classic has only 1 lumen. It's not supreme. It is Procel LMA. Absolutely correct. Okay. This is Procel LMA. Okay. So what is the size of LMA you would insert in a neonate? 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2. Okay, so 45% gets this correct. The smallest size of the LMA that is available is size 1. So this was a trick question over here. Neonate is the smallest size of human being. So neonate is typically less than 5 kg. So in a neonate, you put the smallest size of LMA. Okay, and the smallest size of LMA available is size 1. Size 1.5 is for 5 to 10 kg. Size 2 is for 10 to 20 kg. Size 2.5 is for 20 to 30 kg. Then you have size 3 for 30 to 50. You have size 4 for 50 to 70. Then you have size 5 for more than 70 kg. Okay. So this was a trick question. You all will say, ma'am, we didn't learn the sizes of the LMA as per the weight. How do we know 5 kg ko kitna, 10 kg ko kitna? But you didn't require that. You needed only common sense to know what is the smallest size of the LMA. And that would have given you the answer. Okay, so these are little bit of trick questions, but common sense questions. So when you go for the exam, don't forget to don't forget to take your common sense along. Don't leave it at home and go. Okay, all right. A first year anesthesia resident intubates a patient posted for laparoscopic hernia surgery. She confirms tube placement by EtCO2. After 2 minutes, the consultant notices the following EtCO2. So here you should know the capnographs that I have discussed with you guys. Okay. So identify this capnograph and what should be done in the next step. Suction the endotracheal tube, continue the surgery, re-intubate and reposition the endotracheal tube, do a fiber optic bronchoscopy through the endotracheal tube to detect the problem. Okay, so good. 72% of you have answered this correctly. So can you identify what is this EtCO2? What is this capnograph? Tube placement. Immediately after intubation, you are getting a EtCO2 which is going up and suddenly it is coming down and then it is stopping. It is coming down to zero. So tube is not being displaced. If immediately after intubating, you are getting a rapidly falling EtCO2, that means this is an esophageal intubation. Okay, so she has not intubated correctly, and there are 2-3 things that will also give you the hint to this. First, they are saying there is a first year anesthesia resident, so new person intubating. Second, they are saying that she confirms the tube placement by EtCO2, and they are also saying that this is the main thing which tells you that this is a novice, someone who does not know how to intubate. As a result of this, she's put the tube in the esophagus. Okay. Now, why should you have any carbon dioxide if you're intubating in the esophagus? If the tube is going in the esophagus, where does the carbon dioxide come from? Carbon dioxide comes from the lungs, correct? So why should there be any kind of carbon dioxide in the esophagus? Yes. So when you are ventilating the patient, there is some amount of air that is also going into the stomach and the esophagus, correct? So from the common passage of the pharynx and the larynx, some amount of air will go into the stomach. So whenever you intubate in the esophagus, that stomach and esophageal carbon dioxide will come out and show you a couple of EtCO2s and then it will go down to zero. Clear? Okay. Next one. A patient is undergoing craniotomy in sitting position. There is sudden drop in his EtCO2, sudden hypotension and desaturation. What is the gold standard test to diagnose this condition? Capnography, Doppler, ultrasonography, transesophageal echocardiography or CVP monitoring. Okay, so half of you have mentioned capnography and half of you have mentioned transesophageal echocardiography. So I'm sharing the leaderboard. Now we have a new person on the top. So Radio Mania has got 8 out of 9 correct. Then Karthika and Richa. So completely changed leaderboard. No, this is not pulmonary embolism. Okay, this is embolism, absolutely correct, to the lungs. But what is embolizing? There is venous air embolism. Okay, so in whenever they mention craniotomy in sitting position or any neurosurgery in sitting position, if you are getting a drop in EtCO2, hypotension and desaturation, this is nothing but venous air embolism, very common in the sitting position. Okay, so if this is your heart over here, what is going to happen? Your superior vena cava, which receives blood from the brain, head, neck area, it will carry the air. This air will enter into the right ventricle and it will form an obstruction over here. So out of the right ventricle, there will be no amount of blood going out into the pulmonary artery. Okay. So because of this presence of this air, this entire air, there will be no flow of blood from right ventricle to pulmonary artery to the lungs, and that will cause desaturation. On the other hand, there will be no blood coming back to the left side of the heart also, so there will be hypotension in that case. Clear? You all understood why and how are the sequence of events in venous air embolism? Now, transesophageal echocardiography. Through the esophagus, you put a probe and it shows you the presence of the air through an ultrasound. Okay, that is one of the best tests to diagnose, gold standard to diagnose venous air embolism. And that is because venous air embolism, even 5 ml of air, if it is present, it will be seen on transesophageal echo. Okay. Neural, okay, because the blood is not going to the pulmonary artery and to the lungs, there will be no oxygen picked up, so you will have desaturation. Okay. And because there is no blood going to the pulmonary artery and then the pulmonary veins and the left side of the heart, there will be no blood in the systemic circulation, causing a drop in the blood pressure. Okay. So that is the events that happen in case of venous air embolism. All right. J is faced with an unanticipated difficult airway in the OT. He has tried to intubate the patient 4 times, including attempt by senior, but unable to do so. What should the next step be? So here, try to remember your difficult airway algorithm. Reattempt intubation till successful. Call ENT surgeon for tracheostomy. Do an emergency cricothyrotomy. Attempt insertion of a supraglottic airway device. I can see 30%. So everyone is confused what to do. That means no one knows difficult airway algorithm. What is this, guys? Okay, tell me the difficult airway algorithm. Initially, I try to intubate. How many attempts at intubation can I take? Maximum number of attempts at intubation? You will never remember it as 4. You will always remember it as 3 plus 1. Okay, why? That last attempt should be by the senior most anesthetist in the OT. So this is a very important thing that should be there, including attempt by senior. Okay. Now, after this, what do? If intubation is not possible, you will insert an LMA or a SAD, supraglottic airway device. How many attempts at this is possible? How many attempts at this? There should be maximum 3 attempts at this. If that is also not possible, what is the next thing to do? If LMA is also not going in, bag and mask ventilation, correct? Okay. And if bag and mask ventilation is also not happening, patient is having bronchospasm, then in that case, you will do a front of neck access. Okay. So in front of neck access, you have 2 things. You have cricothyroidotomy and you have tracheostomy. Okay. So these are your 2 options in front of neck access. So this is your difficult airway algorithm. All right. So here the next thing you will do, 4 attempts at intubation are done. So you will try to insert a LMA or supraglottic airway device. Okay, this is the management of unanticipated tracheal intubation. All right. A patient is to be operated for total hip replacement under combined spinal epidural technique. 3 hours into the surgery, after the epidural top up, top up means extra dose. Okay, he starts getting perioral numbness, facial twitches, bradycardia, and has a seizure. What drug should the anesthetist administer in this situation? Propofol, 10% intralipid, 20% intralipid, dantrolene sodium. Guys, at 10 o'clock today, we are going to be having revision of respiratory system part 1, okay? Because you all remember we were doing revision of complete medicine. So we finished in that cardiology. Yesterday only I took cardiology part 2, then endocrinology, rheumatology, nephrology, hepatobiliary system, GI system. These 6 systems are done. Now we are left with respiratory system. So today we'll be doing part 1. Tomorrow we'll be doing part 2 in that. and then we have central nervous system, which will be done next week. Okay, so that with that we will be wrapping up with our medicine division. Okay, all right. Yeah, respiratory system KP, I had taken it on YouTube, but because of some technical errors in the video was taken down. So neither the PDF was available, nor will you guys be able to access that video anymore. So that is why I'm going to take it on the special class platform, so that you guys can also get the PDF of the revision class at the end of the day. All right. Okay. All right. So can anyone correctly identify what is the situation? So patient 3 hours has passed in the surgery, and there is a very particular timeline that they are giving over here. Okay. Yes, it is a free class, Shantanik. So after giving the epidural top up, immediately he is getting perioral numbness, twitches, seizures, and bradycardia and cardiac arrest. Okay. So what is this? This is nothing but local anesthesia, systemic toxicity. So what have you done? You have overdosed the patient. You have not calculated the total dose of local anesthetic that can be given to the patient, and you have overdosed the patient. So as a result of this, he is having systemic toxicity. And the drug of choice for local anesthesia systemic toxicity is 20% intralipid. This was asked this time in the NEET PG exam. So you guys should all know about this. Okay. Dantrolene sodium is the drug of choice in which condition? Yes, dantrolene sodium is the treatment for malignant hypothermia. Absolutely correct. Okay. An 80-year-old male is posted for transthoracic esophagectomy. That means you will cut open the thorax and you will remove the part of the esophagus where the tumor is. Okay. He develops sudden hypotension intraoperatively along with the following ECG changes. What should the next step be? Deepen the plane of anesthesia, IV metoprolol, IV amiodarone, or cardioversion. Sorry. Instead of starting the poll, I accidentally opened a new page. Sorry. We will also be having the part 2 of this class tomorrow. Okay. So case-based scenarios in short subjects, part 2 tomorrow at 8 p.m. again. Okay, most of you got this incorrect. Why, guys? Okay. Radiomania still on top with 11 out of 12 correct, then Richa with 12 out of 12, and then Yash with 9 out of 10, 12. Okay, can you identify? Yes, absolutely correct, Manu. So this is nothing but atrial fibrillation. It is not VTAC, it is narrow complex tachycardia. Narrow complex tachycardia can never be ventricular tachycardia. It is supraventricular tachycardia. This is atrial fibrillation. Can you see there is an irregular heart rate? RR interval is irregular, and there are no P waves which are seen over here. Okay, so this is nothing but atrial fibrillation. Now, whenever you have atrial fibrillation, anyone, what is the treatment of atrial fibrillation? You have to see two things. You have to see if the patient is hemodynamically stable, that means there is no hypotension, or is he hemodynamically unstable. Okay, so if your patient is hemodynamically unstable, you have to immediately correct the scenario by cardioverting the patient. Okay, so you will give shock, you will cardiovert the patient. And if the patient is hemodynamically stable, then we have four classes of drugs: A, B, C, D. Okay, so amiodarone, beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, and digoxin. These are your four classes of drugs that can be used for treatment of atrial fibrillation. But before that, you have to check the blood pressure. So can you see the blood pressure over here? The blood pressure over here is low. There is sudden hypotension, so the patient is unstable. So you have to immediately cardiovert the patient. Okay. What is the difference between cardioversion and defibrillation? Difference between cardioversion and defibrillation? Okay, so cardioversion, you give lower energy shock. Defibrillation, you give higher energy shock. In cardioversion, you have to synchronize the shock with the appearance of the QRS complex. And in defibrillation, it is an unsynchronized shock. You give it at any point of the cardiac cycle. Okay, Kp not 50 to 70 joules. In cardio version, you give at least 100 to 150 joules. All right. Okay. A man came with complaint of hair loss since lockdown has started. He has been under a lot of stress as his wife has been making him do housework. What other disease should he be checked for? Other than psychiatric diseases of being stressed out by the wife, what else can he do? Nothing, as it is telogen effluvium, leprosy, pemphigus, or lichen planus. It's an easy one, and still all of you are getting it incorrect. Half of you, 50% of you have marked this incorrectly. Yes, absolutely correct. This is not telogen effluvium, you will lose hair from everywhere. Here you are losing hair in patches or you're losing it in particular areas. Okay. So this is nothing but alopecia areata. What is the sign that you find in alopecia areata? If this is the hair, sorry, if this is the bald patch, at the end of it, you will find this exclamation mark sign, correct? Exclamation mark sign. So in this exclamation mark sign, can you tell me, all right, what is the disease that is associated with alopecia areata? The systemic disease associated with alopecia areata, it's an autoimmune disease. So lichen planus is associated with alopecia areata. And what was the nail condition that was associated with both of this? We saw it earlier, the nail condition associated with both of this. Yes, that is pterygium. Okay, so all three of them are associated with each other. Okay. A total knee replacement case is preferred to be done under what type of anesthesia? It will take about 3 hours. It's a purely lower limb case below the umbilicus. So what type of anesthesia will you prefer for it? You should be knowing all these 4 types of anesthesia. So let me start the poll for you guys. This is a difficult one. Let's see who gets it correct. Jay Kalyan, very good. Radio Mania, very good. Dr. Bala, very good. Gowda, Yash, Shantinik, Ammu Krupa, Ajay, Anshu, Nimisha, very good. Okay, so 29% of you have gotten this correct. So if it was a 1 to 2 hour case, you can simply give a single shot spinal anesthesia and you can continue it for the patient. Okay. If the case is going to take for more than 2 hours, we will put in an epidural catheter and supplement the dose of the local anesthetic with the epidural catheter. Okay. So in that case, we will give something called as combined spinal epidural technique. So initially give the spinal anesthesia that will last for 2 hours using the spinal needle and then supplement the local anesthetic for the next few hours by the epidural catheter. Okay, which is in the epidural space. So that is epidural plus spinal anesthesia. What is A? A is simply epidural set. So you're seeing there is a needle, there is loss of resistance syringe, and there is presence of epidural catheter. So this is simply epidural set. What is the name of the needle that is used for epidural? And what is the name of the, yes, Tuhui. And what is the name of the needle that is used for spinal? Quinkies. Quincké. Okay. And what is D option? D option is GA. Absolutely correct. General anesthesia. Okay. All right. Akshay has a fall on outstretched hand while playing kho with his friends. The deformity shown in the picture is most commonly seen due to fracture of the radius, fracture of the ulna, fracture of the radius and the ulna, fracture of the humerus. Okay, can anyone identify for me what is the name of this deformity? It's a contracture. Absolutely correct. So this particular deformity is called as, no, this is not dinner fork or ape thumb. This is a long-term complication called as Volkmann's ischemic contraction. Long-term complication called as Volkmann's ischemic contracture. Okay, so now can you tell me in which fracture do you get this as a common complication? Yes, very good. Your fracture supracondylar of the humerus, and this is mostly seen in children actually. Fall on outstretched hand leading to fracture supracondylar humerus. What is the other deformity due to malunion in supracondylar fracture humerus? Due to malunion, you get some deformity, gunstock deformity. It is also called as cubitus. Valgus or varus? Varus or valgus? Valgus or varus? It is cubitus. Valgus carrying angle is increased. Okay. Varus में carrying angle will be decreased. It is cubitus valgus. All right. Next one. Psychiatry को थोड़ा जाते हैं. Okay. So 20-year-old woman was admitted due to an overdose of sleeping pills following breakup with her boyfriend. It is varus. Okay, I am also confused a little bit now. I'll check it. If most of you all are saying varus, it could be cubitus varus. Okay. All right. So 20-year-old woman was admitted due to an overdose of sleeping pills following a breakup with her boyfriend. She has had repeated previous admissions for slitting her wrists. The personality disorder she is suffering from is likely to be narcissistic, dependent, borderline, or histrionic. Psychiatry. Okay, we'll see the leaderboard at the end of this. So, Radiomania 14 out of 16, Richa 12 out of 16, Anushka 11 out of 16. Alright, so there is one clue in this question. Can anyone tell me what is the clue? The fact that she has very stormy relationships. Okay, so every time something happens, she is having suicidal tendencies and stormy relationships. Okay, so this is a borderline personality disorder. Okay, now I'll give you an example of the other personality disorders also. You have to identify for me the personality disorder. There is a birthday party going on, and at that time there is a girl who will come absolutely overdressed, better than the birthday party girl, and she will make lots of noise. She will try to act all cool and act like she's the life of the party, the center of attention. So what kind of personality disorder is that? Yes, that is histrionic personality disorder. Whoever tries to be dramatic, over dramatic, and the center of attention always, that is your histrionic personality disorder. Attention seeking. Absolutely correct. Okay. All right. There is a girl who, there is a wife who completely hides behind her husband all the time. If you ask her to take simple decisions also, like khane mein kya khana hai, what to order, she will say, please ask my husband. She will not be able to make any decisions on her own. So that is a dependent personality disorder. Absolutely correct. Then there will be one person who will say, "ये everything अब I have only done. ये दुनिया भी मैंने बनाई है. ये दुनिया मेरी वजह से चल रही है. Everything in the world is happening because of me only." Yes, that is your narcissistic personality disorder. Everything is me, me, me. Nothing is you. All right. So these are all examples of different types of personality disorders. Now try to identify this personality disorder. Shan is highly influenced by the movie Ye Jawani Hai Diwani. I hope you guys have seen that movie. Ranbir Kapoor. He wants to be like the lead actor in that movie. He wants no emotional relationships. He is disinterested in making friends. He prefers to live life without interference. What type of personality are we talking about? Narcissistic, antisocial, schizoid, or histrionic? trick question, na? Is it stuck? I don't think it is stuck for anyone. No, na? Okay, if it is stuck for you, Radio Mania, you can just refresh your page. Okay. Sharing the leaderboard, Radio Mania still on top with 15 out of 17 correct. Anushka and then Kartika. Okay, absolutely correct, Nurel. So this is your schizoid personality disorder. So it is also defined as a happy loner, and I guess now you guys will remember it from the fact that this is Bunny from Ye Jawani Hai Diwani. Okay, so he did not want to be bound to anyone. He wanted to live his life without any interference from others. Okay, now out of these, if I tell you there is a person who drinks a lot, then he goes and he makes a lot of noise outside the hostel. You all must have all witnessed these kind of people. He hides from his parents and he does drugs. So, what kind of personality disorder that is? Yes, that is antisocial personality disorder. Okay. All right. Now, there is one more personality disorder over here for which you can remember very famous person. Okay, I don't know if I can take names or no. So this is just schizotypal personality disorder. Okay, so they believe that they can read minds. This person was in Big Boss recently. So she can believe that she can read minds. She has special powers. She tells everyone also that I can read minds. I can do many things. They are very eccentric and they always, you find them very odd. They use unusual words and phrases about themselves. Okay. All right. I'm not going to tell you guys because as a part of the platform, I'm not able to point fingers at anyone anymore. Okay. So apne aap socho, who is it? These are the initials also of the person. Okay. All right. Antisocial disorder, antisocial personality disorder. I told you that person mostly they will give you has alcoholic habits, has drug habits, all of them. Okay. Then borderline personality disorder, as usual, as I told you, they will give a very particular thing that the person has stormy or broken relationships, and they have a tendency to cling on to very damaging relationships. Okay. All right. Histrionic personality disorder is life and soul of the party, wants to entertain people, they flirt a lot, they behave provocatively so that they remain the center of attention. Okay. All right. Narcissistic personality disorder was Kareena Kapoor's what to say, character called Pooh in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. So she believes there are special reasons that makes her different. She's selfish. She's above everyone. She takes advantage of other people, and she puts her own needs above other people. And she feels upset if others ignore you. So when Hrithik Roshan ignored her in the movie, she felt extremely upset. Okay, so that is how you'll remember narcissistic personality disorder. Avoidant or anxious personality disorder is Cinderella. Okay, constantly worrying about being found out at 12 o'clock and being rejected, and worried about being ridiculed, avoiding relationships, friendships, and intimacy. Okay. Dependent personality disorder, I told you, submissive person, passive person will always be dependent on others to make decisions. All right. 18-year-old MBBS student always wishes to top in his class, impress his seniors, and doesn't trust others. He wishes to study in Johns Hopkins in the future and always participates in quizzes and competitive exams. I think this is the prototype of every medical student that we have. What is the type of personality disorder in this? Type A, type B, type C, type D. It is a disorder only. So if any of you all have it, then please know that you all are not normal people. You all have some psychiatric problem. Okay. Sharing the leaderboard. Radio Mania 16 out of 18. Anushka 13 out of 18. Kartika 13 out of 18. Come on. You all can definitely come up. Alright. So this is a typical type A personality. Okay. Super competitive person and also super secretive about his competition. Alright. Okay. So what are the personality disorders? You have these clusters of personality. So A is odd and eccentric type of personality. Okay. B is dramatic and emotional type of personality, and C is anxious and fearful type of personality. Now, odd and eccentric type of personality may, can you guys suggest anything for you to remember? Dramatic and emotional may you guys can remember Rakhi Sawant. Okay. She has type B personality, anxious and fearful personality, dependent personality. You can remember Shehnaz Gill from Big Boss. Okay, so she was always dependent on her partner, on Siddharth Shukla. Who is the odd and eccentric type? Can we think of anyone? Yes, absolutely correct. Chatur from Three Idiots. Chatur from Three Idiots was a odd and eccentric type of personality. So he always wanted to talk. He used to keep hiding everything from others. He was very competitive and he was very odd. Okay. So I will write this over here so you guys will easily be able to remember this for the exam. Alright. A 50-year-old female complains of knee pain and back pain since 2 years. This is the image of her hands. What is the likely diagnosis? Rheumatoid arthritis, reactive arthritis, gout, or osteoarthritis? Okay, so can anyone identify what is being shown in this picture over here? What is the special thing that is being shown in this picture over here? Very good, Nurel. So what you can see over here is Hubbard's notes and Bouchard's notes. Okay. So the proximal one is Bouchard. B comes before H. So proximal will be Bouchard and distal will be Hubbard's notes. And both of these are seen in osteoarthritis. Okay. So this is osteoarthritis. 50-year-old bola na, always you should think of two. Osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis. What is the deformity you will see in rheumatoid arthritis? Rheumatoid arthritis, swan neck deformity, okay. Other deformity, Z-shaped deformity, okay, or ulnar deviation of the hand. Also, boutonniere deformity, absolutely correct, okay. All right. Just before he has to do bungee jumping, Raju pees in his pants out of fear. Identify the defense mechanism in the following. In the beginning also we did some defense mechanisms, so even now some of them, rationalization, displacement, regression or repression. Guys, 10 p.m. free class on respiratory system in medicine. We'll be discussing all the disorders of the respiratory system that will be asked for your exam. Okay, why is there a confusion between regression and repression? There is a very clear-cut difference between the two of them. Okay, so what is happening in regression? In regression, whatever things you had gained control over as a child, you will go back to that when you're in very scary situations. So suppose you're in a situation of exam. Out of exam fear, you start sucking your thumb. Now you had gained control over that over that habit, but as a result of exam fear, whatever was happening in childhood, you're regressing back to it. You're going back to it. Okay. So peeing his pants, you have developed control over your urinary bladder, but as a result of a scary situation, you're going back and you're losing control over the urinary bladder. So you're regressing to your childhood. Okay. On the other hand, repression. Any idea repression is what is repression? What is repression? Okay. So suppose you have recently lost a loved one, or you have very nice example happens very very often. So you were dating someone for throughout MBBS, and after MBBS, your parents, when you introduce that person to your parents say no, because of caste issue or region issues, language issues, you cannot get married to this person. Okay. So what do? You immediately marry someone else of your parents' choice and you try to repress or forget or put down the feelings that you had for the previous person. Okay. So that is repression. You're trying to forget or you're trying to put down the feelings that you had for the other person. All right. Okay. Next one. A 45-year-old female is complaining of acute onset breathlessness, fever, and coughs in 3 days. Her saturation is 90% on room air, respiratory rate is 38, heart rate is 102, BP is 150 by 90. What is the next step in this case? Take detailed history examination, attach nasal prongs with 5 liters oxygen flow, attach non-invasive ventilation, attach oxygen by non-rebreathing mask. खाने का टाइम हो गया सबका. आई गेस एवरीवन इज लीविंग टू गो टू हैव डिनर. I have to go and make dinner and then eat it. And then take class at 10. So guys, life after MBBS and MD is also not that easy, okay? Don't think एक बार PG हो गया तो life बन जाएगी. PG के बाद DM, fellowships, it keeps going on and on. All right. So 32% of you are correct in this. So what are you going to do? The first thing is, if the saturation is not normal, so you have to stabilize your patient. So how do you stabilize your patient? You have to give oxygen supplementation to this patient. Now suppose a saturation was more than 95%. In that case, you can attach nasal prongs because they give an FiO2 of only 40%. Okay. Your non-invasive ventilation gives an FiO2 of 100%, and you will attach it only when the saturation is less than 90%. Less than 90%. Okay. So as a rule, just remember this. If saturation is around 95% or more than or equal to 95%, attach nasal prongs or Hudson mask. If saturation is between 90 to 95%, attach a non-rebreathing mask. What is the FiO2 given by non-rebreathing mask? FiO2 given by non-rebreathing mask? Yes, it is 80%. Okay. Okay, someone is asking me, ma'am, my saturation is 95%. Why not? Should I attach nasal prongs? But you're not having breathlessness, right? There are many people who are breathless and have a saturation of 95%. Okay, and if you have a so if you have a saturation less than 90%, then you will attach NIV mask. Okay. So many people have saturation of 95 and 96%. Chronic smokers, people with COPD, asthma, of course they do, but they're used to that saturation and they don't have breathlessness. This patient is presenting with breathlessness. That means this is an acute fall in her saturation. Okay. All right. What about B? That's what Shantinik, I absolutely explained that. You cannot go with B because the saturation should be around 94-95% for you to attach nasal prongs. Nasal prongs gives you an FiO2 of only 40%, so it's not enough to increase your oxygen flows. Okay. All right. How will you check the improvement of this patient's conditions? Chest X-ray, CT thorax, clinical examination and respiratory rate, arterial blood gas. Okay. Now, ideally, all of these tests that are given would actually help you identify the improvement of the patient's condition. But the best way and the shortest route to examining the patient's condition is by doing an arterial blood gas examination. Okay. So, by arterial blood gas examination, what is the parameter that you will be focusing on? Anyone? What will you check? PaO2, your arterial oxygen levels, your arterial carbon dioxide levels, your pH, or your bicarbonate, or your base excess. All these are your main values that you get in the ABG. So what will I focus on? The change in what? Yes, I will be checking the PaO2 levels. Okay. So if my PaO2 levels are rising, if my arterial oxygen concentration levels are rising, that means my patient is receiving more oxygen and is becoming more and more stable. All right. Okay. Now, after this is one trick question for you guys. I'll give you 45 seconds to solve this and you guys can answer. The ABG shows a PaO2 of 80, pH of 7.5, PCO2 of 25, bicarb of 30. What is the next step in this case? Continue on NRBM, start NIV, intubate the patient, switch to a Hudson mask. Quick question, last question. I will also show you the leaderboard once this question is done. Very less people will get it correct. And I'll clap for everyone who got it correct. Oh, I have marked the wrong answer, guys. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. I have marked the wrong answer. Sorry. Restarting the poll. कैसे पता सबको अभी आंसर क्या था? Changed answer. Okay, so can anyone decode this ABG for me over here? What is this? Yes, absolutely correct. So what are you having over here? Your PCO2 levels are low. Okay, now why is the patient throwing out the PCO2? PCO2 levels are low, that means the patient is throwing out most of the carbon dioxide. When do you throw out most of the carbon dioxide? So Radiomania is the leader for today, then Anushka and then Kartika. So well done, guys. Okay. All right. Yes. So this means my patient is hyperventilating. Why is this patient hyperventilating? Because he has air hunger. Okay. So that means he is not receiving enough amount of oxygen. That oxygen that he is receiving is not enough to meet up with the demand of oxygen in his body. So you have to, after NRBM, you have to switch to a higher source. And what is the next source after NRBM? The next source is NIV. And if NIV also does not work, then you will intubate the patient. Okay. So that is the reason. You cannot continue on NRBM because that will maintain the same oxygen levels. You cannot directly intubate. First, you should do NIV. Intubation is an invasive ventilation method. Okay. So to avoid that, first you can try NIV. You cannot downgrade to a Hudson mask because clearly if the patient is hyperventilating and he has air hunger, that means he does not have enough oxygen levels in his body. Okay. All right, clear? So I'm going to quickly show you all the image-based questions that we had over here. This was osteoarthritis. Then this was, do let me know if you like this kind of session. I would be happy to take many more such ones for you guys. Okay, this one over here is your VIC of Volkmann's ischemic contracture. Different types of anesthesia, CSC, epidural, spinal and GA anesthesia, alopecia areata. Then this one over here is atrial fibrillation, ECG, difficult airway algorithm, esophageal intubation, capnograph, LMA ProSeal, different types of appearances of congenital syphilis, then atopic dermatitis headlight sign, all your different types of nerve locators, CT scans, different types of nail conditions, different types of vaporizers, and how to decode them from their colors. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Don't forget that I have a plus session coming up in November. So do use my code Dr. Janvi Life and make sure that you come on the plus platform at least for a month and try to see how Unacademy is. And 10 p.m. tonight, we will be having our class on respiratory system. So make sure you come for that too. All right. So see you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you at 10 p.m. It is that revision is for all of you who are giving any kind of PG exams. All right. Okay. Bye-bye.